go with Treylon Burks is my breakout wide receiver 38, 77 overall. We all know Treylon Burks was out of shape coming into camp last year. He had asthma issues. He spent the whole offseason ensuring that he was in great shape, and now he looks absolutely uncoverable in camp. Tennessee is bottom third in pass attempts. I get that. Yes, they signed DeAndre Hopkins. I get that. But being a target sponge has never been Treylon Burks' game. He's the guy that goes 4 for 125 and 2 touchdowns. If you want to make the low passing offense argument, I hear you there. In 2020, Tannehill was insanely efficient and had A.J. Brown finish at wide receiver 11 and Corey Davis at wide receiver 30. I think Burks is much higher upside than Corey Davis. And with Hopkins taking attention off of Burks, it's the recipe for a top 25 finish. So he's going in the 6th round. I'll take a shot on that all day. We'll probably even see his ADP fall more.
You're absolutely right, dude. Honestly, I love Treylon Burks because last year, I mean, let's just admit it. The passing was bad. The receiving was worse, though. There wasn't a receiver other than Treylon Burks. I think Hopkins is only going to help him and boost his. They thought Robert Woods was going to be that guy. Nick Westbrook-Akine had his time to shine. Austin Hooper. I think everybody, they were trying to give everybody someone that was going to be the other person. But it was just Treylon Burks out there catching balls and Derrick Henry. And the quarterback play was bad, obviously, but the wide receiver room looked even worse after the A.J. Brown trade. So adding Hopkins makes a whole lot of sense. Also, Hopkins is going to get a lot of attention, and Treylon Burks is going to be going against all quarterback 2s. So bring it on, dude. Let's see what they did with the A.J. Brown trade. Let's see if he is the next A.J. Brown.
I think it's like the perfect addition because, if they would have had another decent wide receiver on this team and then signed Hopkins, then you'd be looking at a kind of a cluster of trying to figure out what's what. But now Hopkins just bounces him to 2, and then there's no one behind him. Nobody.
Maybe just Chig. That's about it.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I like Chig this year too.
I think Tannehill is going to be very happy to have Hopkins on there, and I think that's only going to, like Josh said, open things up for Treylon Burks. I think a lot of people, again, and this is the hilarious thing about fantasy football, and I think, especially dynasty brains out here, you see a player not succeed in year 1, and you just immediately are like, that player sucks, they're never going to succeed. That doesn't always work out that way. Like, I think a lot of people forget, like, Devontae Adams used to be Butterfingers, and we thought he was never going to make it in the league. And now he's one of the best wide receivers going. Like, when he was the second banana to Jordy Nelson, everybody was like, who's that scrub Devontae Adams? And now, I mean, he's like a Hall of Famer almost, if not already there.
He didn't even break out to like the end of year 3. Like, that was
and then if we're going to go even further back for people who really don't remember, Julio Jones was not necessarily the wide receiver 1 for Atlanta. It was Roddy White for the longest time. And we were wondering, okay, Julio Jones is giant. How is he not the best wide receiver on this team? Why is it still Roddy White? It doesn't make any sense. And then Julio Jones became one of the best wide receivers in the league. So it's hard for me to fathom breaking, just like, nope, Treylon Burks is a garbage wide receiver. He's never going to break out. He's got all the tools. Like, just give him a minute.
It's gotta be because people play Dynasty, right? Because I swear I didn't even think about this until you mentioned this last week when you were like, I want to do Treylon Burks. I was like, yeah, that's a fucking amazing breakout candidate. But everyone saw the Hopkins signing, and there was no talk beforehand. If there was already some hype beforehand, people would already have some little hype. But they were already out on Treylon Burks before the season, before Hopkins even got to the team. So I'm stoked. I mean, I don't understand how you give up on 2 of the best prospects we've already covered 2 of the best prospects of last year's rookie class. But yet we just completely forgot about both of them.
Yeah. It's Dynasty, man. It has to be the main culprit here. And for anyone out there that listens to this podcast throughout the offseason, A, we appreciate it. B, we mention these guys over and over again because we don't want people to forget that just because they didn't have a wide receiver 1 year or running back 1 year, a tight end 1 year, doesn't mean they're not ever going to do anything. That's just not how it works. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a combination of just dynasty brain and just, I'll call it what it is. Barry's bitches, man. They start reading his articles at the end of the year. They look back at his stats and they're like, oh, Treylon Burks didn't do shit last year. He really started to come on once he looked healthy. And, I think he just gets forgotten. So just want to point him out. Sorry for the Barry's bitches comment, though. I saw
Jesus Christ. No, not me. Whatever. Just one more thing. The Titans are actually trying to win this year. We did not know that going into the season. We thought maybe it'll be a Will Levis, Malik Willis again. Try to nope, they're going all in. They got Hopkins in there, and they're gonna have Tannehill as the starting quarterback. So they're actually going to try to be good. So that is a very positive sign, especially for Treylon Burks, because that doesn't mean they're going to throw out Willis, who couldn't complete a pass really last season. So it's good to see that they're actually going to be trying to win with a quarterback that's serviceable, at least.
Also, Hopkins really thinks they're contenders. He literally is like, everybody keeps writing us off already. And I'm just like, they're kind of right. It's like, yeah, let's calm down.
2 years ago, we were talking about it.
All right. And on to the next one. I love it. Great pick, Joe. I liked some of the things you talked about today. Anyway, getting into my wide receiver, it's Mr. Elijah Moore. I actually just realized as I was writing this earlier, I was like, I've been targeting him everywhere in Dynasty and in mock drafts and in redraft. Like I'm trying to get him everywhere right now. And it's some of us loads of potential. I mean, it's Elijah Moore. I mean, we saw what he did on the Jets, and yes, we saw a little bit of a breakout in the beginning part of his career. I'm not on that, so you can't see that if you're watching on YouTube. But in his rookie year, he had a nice stretch of games, and this was with Zach Wilson. He's now on the Browns, and I understand that they look like doo-doo last year. And yeah, that's a poop joke about the Browns. I had to do it. Moore showed that he can do this. I don't know. And paired with an aging Amari Cooper, a strong-armed quarterback, Elijah Moore could easily be one of the breakouts at wide receiver all around. He's still only 23 years old and swapping Zach Wilson for Deshaun Watson all around. I'm just saying, we saw Peoples-Jones go for 850 on 61 catches last year. And this is no offense to DPJ, but Elijah Moore has more burst and just overall talent all around. I guess it really sounds like a stab at DPJ. I'm sorry, man, if you're listening. But he's still currently on the team, and I understand that there's a chance that Elijah Moore is the third, or I think it's more of they're both twos, and I think Moore is going to take over that number two, and he's never going to see a number one corner because Amari Cooper's going to take it, and maybe even Peoples-Jones. I don't know. There's just plenty of targets to go around, and Stefanski's pass-happy offense anyway, and Watson had a full off season with the team. He had training to kind of cool off from that mediocre return last year. I just think you're drafting Elijah Moore with confidence in the 8th or potentially even later and end up with a potential solid wide receiver too for, I don't know, essentially nothing. I don't know, your 3rd or 4th wide receiver off the board at that point.
Yeah. I think Elijah Moore, people are starting to warm up to him. I've been seeing some trends.
Yeah, he is getting a little bit of love out there.
But, word out of camp, I mean, Watson's just targeting the piss out of Elijah Moore. This is a guy that I'm really pissed off that he had that initial breakout. Because if he hadn't had that initial breakout and then made this move, you could get him for nothing. But in Dynasty, he had that breakout. They might not be aware of what he's going to do on the Browns, but they don't want to trade him. And it's just a really frustrating place to be. But no, I love Elijah Moore this year.
The 7-game stretch.
The one fact that we all need to is they traded for him. It's not like they signed him to see what they got. They actually gave up draft capital to go get him. So, the Browns don't have a ton of draft capital, as we all know. They traded their entire, future to the Houston Texans. So to trade some of what they could have to get Elijah Moore on their roster makes me think they either are really, excited for him, or they thought they needed a better wide receiver too than DPJ. Again, if he's listening, I'm sorry. It appears as if they wanted to utilize Elijah Moore as the wide receiver 2 there behind Amari. And I could definitely see with Deshaun Watson, Elijah Moore popping off this season.
Yeah, I just feel like Amari is obviously still great. He did great last year, but eventually the future is, at this point, Elijah Moore. So, and Deshaun Watson's there for another 4 years at this point on that contract. So they really have something special that they could build here. And I think that's what excites me the most about Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I wish I had some more, man. But
I know. I actually been trying to get him from Jeff in our main Dynasty League. And
me too. He's probably so pissed right now.
Oh, he knows now. He definitely knows.
On the so sidebar here, what do we think about DPJ this year? And is he a guy in Dynasty who should be acquiring for where he goes next year?
I think so.
That part, yes.
I think he's worth acquiring just because you wouldn't have to pay much for him. I don't even know where he's going in redraft at the moment. 140.
It's pretty late. It's behind Elijah Moore.
Oh yeah, 100%. Elijah Moore was in like the 100 range, and then he's at 143. So yeah, I mean that's just. I mean I still
like him as a player.
I'm just saying. Okay, let's boost up people's Jones because I felt like I shit on him during that thing. But
another Browns joke.
Another Browns joke. I had to do it. Anyway, but like he's going at 160. What if everything I said about Peoples Jones was completely wrong, and I got a wide receiver 2 because that's what he was last year, or at least close to, maybe fringe wide receiver 2, flex play at my 5th, 6th wide receiver. Like, I mean, he's still worth drafting. I have no problems with it. I could be wrong about Elijah Moore. I don't think I am, but and I have been wrong before. We've made a lot of fireball bets. You've seen those pods. I had to drink a lot. But I'm excited about the Browns. I think with Deshaun Watson being there for a full year now, having the offseason away from the news and the cameras about his shit that he did or didn't do, potentially, allegedly. I think that this, if he's going to ever do it, it's right now. And he's got the team for it. He's got Nick Chubb still. He's got 3 wide receivers that are pretty great. He's got a tight end out there that Kyle just fucking loves, man, and Joku. So
my main concern for them is that I don't know what kind of offense they're going to run. Stefanski is a run-first head coach, a run-first offensive coordinator, and that makes you think it's going to be a Nick Chubb show with the passing happening as it can. With the RPO, but at the same time, this team's built to be a really good passing team. So it's hard for me to imagine that they don't try to utilize the pass in a NFL that is surrounded by people that need to pass. So I don't know what the philosophy is going to be. We're not going to find that out probably until like week 1 or 2. And we're going to be like, okay, they're definitely going to be a running team, or they're definitely going to be a passing team.
Nick Chubb's getting 100 yards every game. We already know that. I mean, you could still go out there and throw for 250 and have a wide receiver go get 100 yards or even 80 yards in a touchdown. I'm fine with that.
It's still hard to do, though. We don't typically see it. And if he's only getting to 250, that is a smidge concerning for 3 wide receivers, because that means 1 wide receiver didn't show up for the most part.
I don't know. The Eagles did it just fine, and Jalen Hurts only threw for about 4,000 yards. So, I mean, that's about on average for what that would be.
Was Miles Sanders running for 100 yards every game, or did I
most of them?
That?
Yeah. Did you not see Miles Sanders last season?
I did.
Not every game, but the games they actually decided to give him the ball to run. The difference between the Eagles and that would be is there were games where the Eagles just decided to pass that day.
Well, and they had a quarterback that was running most of the time too. So
that's also true.
I don't know if that's a 1-to-1 comparison, but I get your spirit.
I am shocked, real quick. I love Jerome Ford, and I know the team loves Jerome Ford. I am shocked that they have not brought in somebody else yet. John Kelly is their only other guy. Like, this team has Super Bowl ambitions, and they're
Demetric Felton, I think, still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of weird that they haven't brought somebody else.
I know all the dynasty guys are getting real excited about those guys too, and I'm just like, calm down. It's just going to be Nick Chubb, basically. And then when Nick Chubb needs a breather for one play and go get a drink of water, then they'll put him back in. So
I do like Jerome Ford. I mean, I think he's going to get some play this year at least. But
it's about damn time for Chubb, because I was so pissed every year when Nick Chubb would run to the 20-yard line and then Kareem Hunt would trot onto the field. And it's like, what? How does this make any sense? And
Nick Chubb's my running back one.
We're not going to have that now. It's going to be the Nick Chubb show. Finally, they are going to use him.
No contract disputes. No backup running back. The Cleveland Browns. Oh, it's fucking Nick Chubb season this year, guys.
I think we're going to have to reorder our rankings based on contract disputes now.
Yeah, running backs all just slip down except for Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb boosts up 5 slots.
You got Bijan, CMC, and Nick Chubb. That's it. Take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the only 3 that are in good standing right now. All right, let's move on to the last player we have on the list, and that is Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. Last year, the Houston Texans were kind of a shit show. I think we can all agree. They went ahead and got rid of every lead pass catcher on the Houston Texans. I don't know if you all realize that or not, but they got rid of Cooks. They got rid of Jordan Akins. And they got rid of Chris Moore, who was weird at the end of the season, had that kind of weird run. And that left Nico Collins as the elder statesman on the Texans. He's been there the longest as the wide receivers go. Now, on one hand, they brought in Robert Woods from Tennessee. Don't really know what to expect there because he didn't look great in Tennessee. Not sure he's going to look great for Houston either. And then John Mechie's back because, he beat his leukemia diagnosis and he's back out there. And we're happy to see that because, we want to see what Mechie can do because he was really good in college. And I hope that he can come back and play 100%. Other than that, though, they got Nico Collins. He's been there the longest. He's going as wide receiver 52 right now, 120 overall. I think he should at least get a chance to be the number one wide receiver for the Texans to at least see what he can do. He's definitely the tallest one they have on the roster. They also have Tank Dell, who's going to be trying to fight for a spot on the field. I think he'll get there, but he's 5'8", so not exactly the tall man like Nico Collins is. They also brought in Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys to be a tall pass catcher. But I think Nico Collins is the guy that we need to be after here. I think he's been sitting on the Texans, stewing for 2 years, kind of learning, the NFL, and then now is the year that he's going to break out. Now, am I expecting him to be a wide receiver too? Not necessarily. I think he's going to be a fantastic flex play every week and a guy that you can, on a bye week can throw in there. He will be a good flex position player, but I don't think he should be going number 120 overall. I think you could probably get him in the 10th round, and you're going to be – I don't know. I think you're going to feel good about that, if I could be honest.
I actually disagree with that last bit. I think he's actually going to be startable. I don't think you're starting in week 1, but I think you're starting in by week 5. Like, you're going to be confident in this. Where it all comes down to what CJ Stroud does and how, honestly, John Mechie was a beast. I was actually – I believe I'm with you on this because I actually chose Nico Collins originally and was going to do him before you bought him from me. $20. And then I was like debating between him and John Mechie because like I'm also super hyped about John Mechie, but like you're right, he's the guy who's been on the team. He knows the team. I understand CJ Stroud's new. I understand this team. There's been a lot of turnover in general, but not Nico Collins. And John Mechie's obviously a flashy guy coming in out of Alabama. Obviously a year later than he should have been, but Nico Collins has already done it. We've already seen flashes of what he can be, and with a consistent target stream from a quarterback who can throw a ball. I mean, no offense to Davis Mills, he actually played pretty valiantly, but it was more game manager than anything. He didn't target one guy. He didn't have a favorite. He didn't have a chance to have a favorite. He was out there fighting for his life every game. So super stoked about Nico Collins, and honestly, even John Mechie as a late random dart throw. Just to see what we got.
It's
Really
really interesting to see how this team plays out. One of my favorite follows on Twitter outside of the IDP Army and both of you and offensive points is 32 beat writers. They write about camp all the time. The Texans, I mean, you got Xavier Hutchinson looking really good at times. Word is Robert Woods really isn't looking that great. Nico Collins looks good sometimes. No one's really separating themselves right now. We know going into season that someone will. And Mechie and Collins are what my money's on, but I like both of them. Nico's his size alone, he should get 10 touchdowns.
No joke. And we haven't really gotten to see him with a good quarterback yet. Like, that's the other thing, is because it's been Davis Mills for the last 2 years. That's been Nico Collins 2 years in the league. So he hasn't really gotten to show anything. He also had to, he was behind Brandon Cooks in the pecking order. I just think this will be the year that he can finally prove himself. And I think that that's good. They also, this wide receiver core, low-key, kind of one of my favorites in the league, at least the names, because Tank Dell is a favorite of mine. Xavier Hutchinson's a favorite of mine, rookie-wise. And then, Noah Brown always showed up for the Cowboys. He wasn't necessarily ever startable, but I kind of liked him for the Cowboys.
I do like this receiving core for the Texans for what they built out of essentially nothing. I mean, they lost their number one and kept their number two, who they didn't use, and then got John Mechie back and then drafted a couple new ones. This receiving core has a chance to be really good. I mean, especially in the future. And honestly, we don't know what CJ Stroud is yet. I know a lot of people are like, CJ Stroud's bad. He could be fucking great for all we know. I'm not going to put him as my breakout because I had no fucking clue either.
Nobody is saying he's bad. Who said that?
I mean, there's a reason he slipped to the third overall. I'm not saying bad, but is going to be bad this year type thing. We don't know what he's going to be. He could be great. He could be bad.
There has been a lot of shit talked on CJ Stroud.
I was going to say, CJ Stroud got a lot of shade during the NFL draft. And, and since then, I mean, there's a reason he's going in the second round in dynasty drafts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think fantasy-wise he'll be startable this season, but I mean, I like to at least see some positive signs. And I think
Why isn't there
Nico
a chance,
Collins, for him
Why
to
isn't there?
be, I mean, he has plenty of chances. I like every part. I mean, even with Damian Pierce there, like I like that. I like Devin Singletary being behind him. This Texans offense has a good chance to be good right away. They have a
This
defensive-minded
division's gonna
head
be really
coach,
good.
but I know. I think everybody's just like, oh, the AFC South, it's a bunch of trash. Kind of excited for it. I think this is going to be a fight. I mean, they're not going to be 12-4 or whatever, but they'll be all right.
It's going to be a scrappy division for sure. Because I mean, you got two raw rookie quarterbacks coming in. You got Trevor Lawrence, who's on the come up, and then Tannehill. But you got Hopkins and Treylon Burks and Henry. I mean, they don't even need a quarterback. The three of them could do it all. Have Treylon Burks go back there and throw the ball. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. By the way, Robert Woods, I would not be shocked if he maybe doesn't make the roster on day one.
Is he still on the Texans?
Yeah, I mean he's there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a cut candidate because
everything I read is he's just dropping shit left and right. So.
Tank Dell is getting boosted up heavily by the beat reporters.
Well, he's probably also working harder. To be fair, Robert Woods probably like my namesake alone. Got Super Bowl
we'll get him there. But I mean, I'm telling you, Tank Dell. I know we're kind of getting way off track here, but like Tank Dell, he is super short. I get it. Not trying to, I know that's going to be.
Are you doing the Wan'Dale Robinson thing again?
But no, because he's a better wide receiver than Wan'Dale Robinson. Like he can separate really, really well. He is a surgical route runner, and he is going to be disrespected because of how short he is. He shouldn't be. He can be really good in this league. I'm excited to see him out there because I just think everybody's kind of shading him. He led college in touchdowns last season. That's nuts, and receiving yards too. But
we just like him because his name's Tank. And Bigsby.
Well, that's true because Nathaniel Dell is a lot less threatening than Tank Dell.
Oh, it's Tank Dell. Sorry, right? There's two Tanks. I got to really get it together.
No, but like his real name's Nathaniel, but Tank is a much better name.
It's way better.
It is.
All right, and welcome to the Houston Texans preview.
Yeah, for real. Just excited for football to be back.
Football.
Yeah.
Football.
The preseason for the Texans will actually be a fun one to watch because all these dudes are new. Like you won't see Robert Woods or Dalton Schultz, but everybody else is going to be out there, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, ready for the draft this weekend, boys. Finally,
Me too. We're doing our home league draft this weekend.
We've said it 20 times on the podcast.
Doing it super. Excited. Yeah, I know. I was kind of doing a preview for the folks, but Josh doesn't want to talk about it. So, all right, we won't.
I want to talk about it.
Joe, get us out of here.
Good night.